that he can build a ship. They did not wait for the timbers to dry, but the whole tribe or nation sailed the next day. Then a bit of genuine nature cropped out, and is revealed by outspoken Nephi with scriptural frankness. They all go out on a spree. They, and also their wives, began to make themselves merry, insomuch that they began to dance and to sing, and to speak with much rudeness. Yea, they were lifted up unto exceeding rudeness. Nephi tried to stop these scandalous proceedings, but they tied him neck and heels and went on with their lark. But observe how Nephi the prophet circumvented them by the aid of the invisible powers. And it came to pass that after they had bound him insomuch that I could not move. And it came to pass that after they had bound me insomuch that I could not move, the compass which had been prepared of the Lord did cease to work. Wherefore they knew not whither they should steer the ship, insomuch that there arose a great storm, yea, a great and terrible tempest. And we were driven back upon the waters for the space of 3 days. And they began to be frightened exceedingly, lest they should be drowned in the sea. Nevertheless they did not loose me. And on the 4th day, which we had been driven back, the tempest began to be exceeding sore. And it came to pass that we were about to be swallowed up in the depths of the sea. Then they had tied him. And it came to pass, after they had loosened me, behold, I took the compass, and it did work whither I desired it. And it came to pass that I prayed unto the Lord, and after I had prayed, the winds did cease, and the storm did cease, and there was a great calm. Equipped with their compass, these ancients appear to have had the advantage of Noah. Their voyage was toward a promised land, the only name they gave it. They reached it in safety. Polygamy is a recent feature in the Mormon religion, and was added by Brigham Young after Joseph Smith's death. Before that it was regarded as an abomination. This verse from the Mormon Bible occurs in chapter 2 of the book of Jacob. For behold, thus saith the Lord, this people began to wax in iniquity. They understand not the Scriptures, for they seek to excuse themselves in committing whoredoms, because of the things which were written concerning David and Solomon his son. Behold, David and Solomon truly had many wives and concubines, which thing was abominable before me, saith the Lord. Wherefore, thus saith the Lord, I have led this people forth out of the land of Jerusalem by the power of mine arm, that I might rise up unto me a righteous branch from the fruit of the loins of Joseph. Wherefore I, the Lord God, will not suffer that this people shall do like unto them of old. However, the project failed, or at least the modern Mormon end of it, for Brigham suffers it. This verse is from the same chapter. Behold the Lamanites your brethren, whom ye hate because of their filthiness, and the cursings which hath come upon their skins are more righteous than you. For they have not forgotten the commandment of the Lord, which was given unto our fathers, that they should have, save it were, one wife, and concubines they should have none. The following verse from chapter 9 of the book of Nephi appears to contain information not familiar to everybody. And now it came to pass that when Jesus had ascended into heaven, the multitude did disperse, and every man did take his wife and his children, and did return to his own home. And it came to pass that on the morrow, when the multitude was gathered together, behold, Nephi and his brother, whom he had raised from the dead, whose name was Timothy, and also his son, whose name was Jonas, and also Mathoni, and Mathonah, his brother, and Cumin, and Cumenonhi, and Jeremiah, and Shemanon, and Jonas, and Zedkai, and Asaiah. Now these were the names of the disciples whom Jesus had chosen, in order that the reader may observe how much more grander and picturesqueness, as seen by these Mormon 12, accompanied one of the tenderest episodes in the life of our Savior that other eyes seem to have been aware of. I quote the following from the same book, Nephi. And it came to pass that Jesus spake unto them, and bade them arise. And they arose from the earth. And he said unto them, Blessed are ye because of your faith. And now, behold, my joy is full. And when he had said these words, he wept, and the multitude bare record of it. And he took their little children one by one, and blessed them, and prayed unto the Father for them. And when he had done this, he wept again. And he spake unto the multitude, and saith unto them, Behold your little ones. And as they looked to behold, they cast their eyes toward heaven, and they saw the heavens open, and they saw angels descending out of heaven, as it were, in the midst of fire. And they came down, and encircled those little ones about, and they were encircled about with fire, and the angels did minister unto them, and the multitude did see and hear and bear record. And they know that their record is true, for they all of them did see and hear, every man for himself. And they were in number about 2,500 souls, and they did consist of men, women, and children. And what else would they be likely to consist of? The book of Ether is an incomprehensible medley of history, much of it relating to battles and sieges among peoples whom the reader has possibly never heard of, and who inhabited a country which is not set down in the geography. There was a king with the remarkable name of Corentumr, and he warred with Shared and Lib and Shiz and others in the plains of Heshmon, and the valley of Gilgal, and the wilderness of Axk, and the land of Moran, and the plains of Agash, and Ogath, and Ramah, and the land of Korahor, and the hill Comnor, by the waters of Ripliancum, etc., etc., etc. And it came to pass, after a deal of fighting, that Corentumr, upon making calculation of his losses, found that there had been slain 2 millions of mighty men, and also their wives and their children, say 500,000 or 600,000, 500 million or 600 million in all. And he began to sorrow in his heart. Unquestionably it was time. So he wrote to Shiz asking a cessation of hostilities, and offering to give up his kingdom to save his people. Shiz declined, except upon condition that Corentumr would come and let him cut his head off first, a thing which Corentumr would not do. Then there was more fighting for a season. Then 4 years were devoted to gathering the forces for a final struggle, after which ensued a battle which I take it is the most remarkable set forth in history, except perhaps that of the Kilkenny Cats, which it resembles in some respects. This is the account of the gathering and the battle. 7. And it came to pass that they did gather together all the people upon all the face of the land, who had not been slain, save it was Ether. And it came to pass that Ether did behold all the doings of the people, and he beheld that the people who were for Corentumr were gathered together to the army of Corentumr. And the people who were for Shiz were gathered together to the army of Shiz. Wherefore they were for the space of 4 years gathering together the people, that they might get all who were upon the face of the land, and that they might receive all the strength which it was possible that they could receive. And it came to pass that when they were all gathered together, every one to the army which he would, with their wives and their children, both men, women, and children being armed with weapons of war, having shields and breastplates and headplates, and being clothed after the manner of war, they did march forth one against another to battle, and they fought all that day, and conquered not. And it came to pass that when it was night they were weary, and retired to their camps. And after they had retired to their camps, they took up a howling and a lamentation, for the loss of the slain of their people. And so great were their cries, their howlings, and lamentations, that it did rend the air exceedingly. And it came to pass that on the morrow they did go again to battle, and great and terrible was the day. Nevertheless they conquered not. And when the night came again, they did rend the air with their cries and their howlings and their mournings, for the loss of the slain of their people. 8. And it came to pass that Coronnar wrote again an epistle unto Shiz, desiring that he would not come again to battle, but that he would take the kingdom and spare the lives of the people. But behold, the Spirit of the Lord had ceased striving with them, and Satan had full power over the hearts of the people, for they were given up unto the hardness of their hearts, and the blindness of their minds, that they might be destroyed. Wherefore they went again to battle. And it came to pass that they fought all that day, and when the night came they slept upon their swords. And on the morrow they fought even until the night came. And when the night came they were drunken with anger, even as a man who is drunken with wine. And they slept again upon their swords. And on the morrow they fought again. When the night came they had all fallen by the sword, save it was 52 of the people of Coronnar, and 69 of the people of Shiz. And it came to pass that they slept upon their swords that night, and on the morrow they fought again. And they contended in their mights with their swords and with their shields all that day. And when the night came, there were 32 of the people of Shiz, and 27 of the people of Coronnar. 9. And it came to pass that they ate and slept and prepared for death on the morrow. And they were large and mighty men, as to the strength of men. And it came to pass that they fought for the space of 3 hours, and they fainted with the loss of blood. And it came to pass that when the men of Coronnar had received sufficient strength that they could walk, they were about to flee for their lives. But behold, Shez arose, and also his men, and he swore in his wrath that he would slay Coronnar, or he would perish by the sword. Wherefore he did pursue them, and on the morrow he did overtake them, and they fought again with the sword. And it came to pass that when they had all fallen by the sword, save it were Coronnar and Shiz, behold, Shiz was fainted with loss of blood. And it came to pass that when Coronnar had leaned upon his sword, that he rested a little, he smote off the head of Shiz. And it came to pass that after he had smote off the head of Shiz, that Shiz raised upon his hands and fell. And after that he had struggled for breath, he died. And it came to pass that Coronnar fell to the earth, and became as if he had no life. And the Lord spake unto Ether, and said unto him, Go forth. And he went forth, and beheld that the words of the Lord had all been fulfilled. And he finished his record, and the 100th part I have not written. It seems a pity he did not finish, for after all his dreary former chapters of commonplace, he stopped just as he was in danger of becoming interesting. The Mormon Bible is rather stupid and tiresome to read, but there is nothing vicious in his teachings. Its code of morals is unobjectionable. It is smooched, Milton, from the New Testament, and no credit given. Chapter 17. 3 sides to all questions. Everything a quarter. Shriveled up. Immigrants in white shirts at a discount. 49ers. Above par. Real happiness. At the end of our 2 days' sojourn, we left Great Salt Lake City, hearty and well-fed and happy, physically superb, but not so very much wiser as regards the Mormon question than we were when we arrived, perhaps. We had a deal more information than we had before, of course, but we did not know what portion of it was reliable and what was not. For it all came from acquaintances of a day, strangers, strictly speaking. We were told, for instance, that the dreadful Mountain Meadows massacre was the work of the Indians entirely, and that the Gentiles had merely tried to fasten it upon the Mormons. We were told, likewise, that the Indians were to blame partly, and partly the Mormons, and we were told, likewise, and just as positively, that the Mormons were almost, if not wholly and completely responsible for that most treacherous and pitiless butchery. We got the story in all these different shapes, but it was not until several years afterward that Mrs. Waite's book, The Mormon Prophet, came out with Judge Cradlebaugh's trial of the accused parties in it, and revealed the truth that the latter version was the correct one, and that the Mormons were the assassins. All our information had three sides to it, and so I gave up the idea that I could settle the Mormon question in 2 days. Still, I have seen newspaper correspondents do it in one.